into this thing. What the hell?
There we are. We're live now, Facebook people.
I'm live.
Here we are. Look who's here with me now, you guys. The Chris Shaw is here. Chris Shaw is an amazing human being. I'm so proud of him. He's a military veteran. He's been on stage and screen, yada, yada. He doesn't want to talk about that, and I don't blame him. He's got better things that he wants to talk about, namely his nonprofit, the Heart and Mind Connection. He's a military Navy veteran. Sorry?
I am.
Yes. So we have something in common because Comic Spot is where this military veteran, me, gets to vet out veterans of stage and screen at like Chris Shaw. But
That is
today, awesome. Thank you. We get to celebrate how he got to the place where he's doing a nonprofit, why he's doing it, what's he doing. Let's hear all about it because you're going to just love this nonprofit. Are you ready to talk, Chris Shaw? Welcome to the stage.
Hello there, people. I would think that most comedians believe they are nonprofit, for no matter how long you've been doing it. And I had good years and bad years, but the biggest thing is, and I'm not the only comedian out there who talks about this, but mental illness from being a kid. Some things that had come up, some what they call adverse childhood experiences, trauma for children, even before I went into service. And getting into comedy was the thing that I tell people the best job you can do with pants on, and yet the most codependent lifestyle for somebody who is dealing with an undiagnosed mental illness and self-medicating with drugs and alcohol to try and figure out how to bring the highs and the lows a little closer together.
Yes. So you went in the military, but you'd had some things happen early in life. So not only did you have early childhood things to deal with, but then you had the military to deal with.
Yeah, which for me wasn't bad. I was on a big floating city. I was on an aircraft carrier, and they had a bowling alley, for God's sakes. It wasn't terrible, but it's just carrying so much of these experiences from my childhood and not understanding two things. One, that you can never go back and change that in your past to the way you wish it would have turned out. And that I, with some work, could actually let some of that stuff go and move forward.
Absolutely. And you talk about the VA hospital in Minneapolis getting into a peer support scenario. And
yeah.
And I've gone through that. I'm a mental patient. I never was until I got a free brain injury in 96. And then I checked into the VA outpatient psych department and got into peer support classes, dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's because of those.
Did you say a free brain injury?
I got it for free, and I'm Jewish, so I cannot complain.
There's some things you just can't turn down when they come at you like that. I mean, it's like, no, but can I get it wrapped up for a friend? I don't want the brain injury right now.
I tell people they missed a spot. So, and if you're going to get a brain, you want my brain injury. Otherwise, it come out really weird.
Do you have to keep cotton in your ears to stop leakage and things like that?
Nothing stays in there no matter what I do. It's been a real fun roller coaster.
Well, I tell you, this whole COVID thing has been interesting as comedians. I love seeing a lot of comics out there getting online and doing stuff like that. I fired up my I have AOL. If anybody wants to write me, it's TalkShaw at AOL. One of the last 17 people in the country that have AOL accounts, mainly because that's where my MySpace followers know me. And they keep sending the discs, that 2,400 free hours and stuff, and I keep plugging them in there. And Free email, Yahoo. But it's nice to see people out there getting continuing work, being creative with things to not only for themselves, but for the audiences too, because people are all hungry to go back to that live comedy experience. They
Absolutely.
probably watch everything on Netflix that is possible. Um, so it's very cool. I haven't done that much comedy during the COVID thing. I did do a couple shows, but I did get a part-time job. I was because I'm 6 feet tall, so they have me at like Walmart and Cub Foods, laying down between the circles so they know how far 6 feet apart is, and shopping for free. That's nice then.
Talk about an essential worker. We
Yeah,
need
I'm
to know it.
essential. If I grow or shrink though, I'm going to join the unemployment ranks.
Well, hopefully we'll be over with the COVID before you shrink.
Yes, yes. The other thing it took down was so back to the organization. So, following two divorces and a lot of legal trouble, it was in September of 2015 after my fifth DWI that I was ready to check out. I thought I did not understand how to move forward with anything in my life. When I talked to people in some of the classes we do for our organization, I say there were three main things missing for me on the night I tried to take my life. One was human connection. I was not. I wasn't getting out of the house. I was not showing up for jobs. I was not even answering the phone when my kids would call, and that is so key to our ability to feel loved and needed and purposeful and all those things. So
Wow.
that was
Yes.
missing. Number two, I had no purpose in life. I just lost my second vehicle to a alcohol related offense. I was going back to jail for it. I couldn't talk to anybody. I was living behind on my rent in the basement of a house. I felt like there was no reason that to go on. And the third thing I talk about is, and it sounds real cliche because it's a word that gets thrown around so much, but hope.
Yes.
Um, and what I meant by hope was faced with how I felt in my brain, uh, the drugs and alcohol that I continued to use to self medicate, and then everything that I thought was eventually it was just going to happen back to jail and everything. I didn't have any hope that I would feel any better than I did in that moment. And it was like, why would I want to do this at one more day? I just drug myself along to this point, and I'm done doing that. And you
Absolutely.
wrestle with, oh my gosh, what about my kids, and things like that. And it's like, you know what? They're they are probably going to be sad initially, but they are going to realize, wow, it is a lot easier living life without wondering what the hell dad's up to. And that's a scary thing to be fighting with yourself in your own head with, trying to make justification. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't see that I was a burden to everybody around me, and I was isolating, and I was done.
Yes. I
So I
went
ended
through
up in the
that.
VA. So that's how I ended up in the VA, and then somebody on the care team was a certified peer support specialist. This guy came in and just chatted with us one day. I'm like, "Are you a doctor or what do you do?" And he goes, "No, I used to be sitting where you are, and now I get to just listen and tell my story." And I'm like, the VA pays you for that? What? I want that job. It
Yeah.
wasn't that easy, but you go through the class and rigorous training and eye
Yes.
opening of what you've been through to say, okay, I'm a comfortable spot where I can talk to other people about it. But humor is really at the core of it. I mean, every time I talk to people about suicide or anything like that, it's like uh, part of my hope was retaining humor in my life, and retaining it for myself because it was the only thing that I thought I had to give anybody else. And when I started to give that gift back to myself, it sounds kind of corny,
Not
I
at
was,
all.
I was hugging a tree, and then I said, I deserve that comedy too. And that's when, the Heart and Mind Connection got formed in 2017.
Love it.
And so I was talking about what COVID did. We were going to have our first big fundraiser in May, walk and everything like that, and musical acts. And sure enough, it got canceled. So when when you can't just go out and juggle some cats and they'll write you a check, I have to figure out ways that people will give donations or get grants and things like that. And we've had to lay off some staff and things like that. And it's been a challenge, but this is now really passionate heart work. Um, it's there. I don't know if you've seen, a lot of comedians are doing this push-up challenge right now
Yes.
for depression and things like that. So I'm going to give a shout out, Ron Lamprick. I did not miss. I saw it today that you called me out on that. So I am going to I'm going to commit to 25 push-ups over the next 25 days. I think that's what he said. I have to do
Wow.
25 over 25 days, and they give you like a week to finish them after that. And then really they just count how many you've done in the 25 days, and if it's 13 or 10, it's really the thought that counts. So Ron, I love you, man.
That's
I'm gonna
great.
start on a push-up
So
later.
you have the nonprofit, the Heart and
Yeah,
Mind Foundation.org, and people can donate.
they why not? That's a great idea, Linda. If they're just sitting around, just it's a button. You just hit the button, and your credit card's probably already online and things like that from porn and stuff. But then just say, hey, I'm not going to get a latte today, or a whatever you might get that you could go a day without, so we could keep doing what we do. And what do we do, Linda? That's a
Yes,
great
what do you,
question.
thank
Thanks for
you. That's
thanks
what
for
I was going to
asking.
get to.
No, I like that. Um, Really, the main what our organization is about is a mental health advocacy uh, network of people who are all peer support specialists, who all identify as having their own experience in life with either mental illness, substance use disorder, or both, and making the decisions for how we want to see changes in our state, and as far as legislation around mental illness funding in school, mental health care, um, incarceration care, things like that. And there's
Yes.
some tough times being in jail when they don't believe that the medications you're supposed to take are really something you should take, so they just don't let you have it. And then it's like, whoa, whoa. Um,
Man.
I was a sad clown for a while.
People don't get that there's a lot of stigma around mental health, mental
Mm,
issues. And the
yeah,
stigma is what kills too. It's
yeah,
not just the mental illness
yeah.
causing people, but I know people in my life that refuse to go get diagnosed. And I know they know that something is there, but they look at it like it's something wrong with them and they refuse to go get help.
And Linda, so what I say to people about that is, if your neighbor had cancer and had to go away for a week into the hospital and get treatment, and then came home and they were on some medication, and they only had enough energy to maybe lay on the couch and watch TV and drift in and out of sleep. You think of all the things we would do for that person.
Exactly.
Like, we would cut their grass and shovel their snow and make them meals and start a grocery chain, and send a card and have a GoFundMe and all those kind of things.
Yep.
And yet, if I were to come home from the hospital after 2 weeks of going off my meds, and getting stabilized again, and then put on different medication that takes my body a month before it feels any positive effect, but the side effects you feel immediately, and it's like all I can do is lay on the couch and drift in and out of sleep and watch TV. And boy, I am not called a fighter or nobody's like, wow, I'm so proud of you that you're
No.
napping.
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't see it as an illness.
They don't.
like we see physical illnesses, and that's what keeps a lot of people from saying anything.
Yes.
'Cause they'll
And
be
when you
judged.
people with mental issues like myself, when we suffer for a long period of time. So people can see you trip and fall and hurt your toe, and your
Hmm.
toe has an expectancy of healing in X amount of time. But when it's the brain, whether it's brain injury related or depression from the time you're born, I know people in my family who have been depressed since the day they were born. And it can be hereditary, it can be caused by something, and it's hard to get people out there to support you if it doesn't clear up in a certain expected time.
Yeah, yeah. It's
People
like,
will walk
well,
away from you.
when they can't see it on the outside, like there's not a big open sore. People are like, "Come on, it can't be that bad." You know, my favorite line was people always said, "Well, people have it a lot worse than you, Chris." I'm like, they probably do, and now I feel worse about myself for
Yes.
for not bucking up.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. I mean, we stigmatize ourselves, we feel stigmatized by other people, and at some point, you just
Cut those ties. Before I went and got peer support help, I cut everybody out of my life, and that was just doing myself a disservice
mhm.
as well as others.
Yeah,
So,
because going back to connection, we need that connection.
yeah.
This whole
Yeah.
social distancing thing has made people go, oh yeah, isolate.
Yeah.
Now, if
Maybe
this would
we
have come
do.
in December in Minnesota, that would have been fine because we would have been inside for the next 4 months anyway. But
That's
this is a little
true.
different. You have the only few nice days of summer in Minnesota here, and they're like, no, don't go out there though.
Tell me some things that
Bless
bless
you.
bless me. It's that security guard's fault. You guys missed it.
I
Security
love
guards
your
are.
offices though. They look gorgeous there.
Thank you.
Men's and a women's room. That's
I
great.
know. This is it. Thank you, Stratosphere. So tell me some things specifically that I can wrap my mind around that your organization does
Okay,
so that
so
I'll want to donate.
yeah, so really three elements. One is peer support work, and with that, we have programs that we put on in communities or at community centers or schools or things like that that help different populations of our state um, get past that stigma and feel connected to other people. So there's a program for kids in schools to come together and with poetry slams and things like that. There's programs in communities for people who are uh, experiencing mental health challenges to get together with other people who are, so they see that not only, hey, I'm not alone in this, and I get to do things like other people. So we had done a big event a couple of years ago up in St. Cloud. The first event we did was a comedy show at the library, and they had 110 people on a Tuesday night. And
Wow.
now, of course, it was January in Minnesota, which they would go anywhere, and if it was indoors and it was a comedy show, they'd be there. But it was, I think, really encouraging for people who showed up and said, wow, because the two things I always felt and heard in my mind over and over, no matter on the road doing comedy or at home with my family, was nobody knows what I'm going through, and nobody would care if they did.
Wow.
And that became a running script in my head. And I could have a lot of fun and do a great show and then come off stage and go, wow, I am such a piece of crap. Why do people even laugh at me? And just that up and down of hating, knowing that a show is coming to an end, and you're like, oh, can I make this last longer? Because this is the only fun part of the day. And
Absolutely. Boy, can I relate.
so we do that peer support stuff, a lot of education,
Yeah.
um, uh, classes in things like mental health first aid. And we do that for not only communities, but for higher education, for youth, for older adults, for veterans, for EMS and fire departments, police and corrections people.
Wow.
So last year we had our best year with the 1,800 people that we trained around the state of Minnesota, and we were on track to do a lot this year. And then come March 16th, when they shut things down, we had close to 45 classes that we just had to pull. And
Wow.
that's another big part of our income for the grants that pay for those classes. And all that went away. So I just sat here in front of my computer. What do I do now? I learned QuickBooks. That was fun. Ooh.
So, what are some things that you want to have restart that could be restarted during? Is there anything that can be done online in this regard, or is it better in person?
It's interesting. I would much rather do some of the classes and events in person, but one of the major classes that we do, which is mental health first aid, which is run by the National Council of Behavioral Health out of Washington, D.C., just finished up most of our staff today, even. The new virtual version of that class, which will allow us to provide it to people anywhere in the country, anywhere it's in the country because there's a different version outside of the US. But yeah, so your timing was perfect. It just became finalized today. We got everybody certified in it, and we'll start having classes. Those will show up on our website, on our calendar here very shortly. Won't they? Yes, they will. Right?
So
Yeah.
you serve people mostly just in Minnesota, right?
We do some stuff in the 5-state area: Wisconsin, Iowa, North and South Dakota. They won't let me into Canada at this point right now, but I get it. I get it. I was not on my best behavior when I was there before.
What's the total amount you're trying to have come in at this time that you're going for? Target.
Like $143 would be nice.
Really?
An hour. An hour. Something like that. No, to put on the classes that we do, we could put on 10 classes for $5,000. So that would be awesome. Train 300 people.
Awesome.
And
yes, I'm having electrical issues. I got my electrical issues fixed now.
Nice.
So we can go online. We're going to go online and support you.
That'd be great.
I can't until the first of the month. I just let you know that.
I'll wait.
Put it down as something I'm going to pledge $50 on the first to you.
I will send you one of these cool hats then, the Heart and Mind Connection.
Oh, thank you. And I hope that everybody here listening will consider donating, even if it's just a small amount. Everything helps.
Yeah.
This is such a great cause.
If
anybody out there
in the country gave a dime.
Yes.
That would be
just a dime. Are you there?
I'm trying to think of how much that would be if everybody gave a dime.
Yes.
Because some people might give 2 dimes and other people no dimes. So
yes,
it's hard math to figure right now.
It is. Math is not my strong suit.
And here's the other thing I'd like to put out there, Linda, is our phone number, because here's what you find when you start talking about these things amongst people. Other comedians will say, "Oh man,
I'll wrap it up.
Thanks, I get it." So I'd like to put my phone number out there for our organization. And if there are comedians around the country, call us and talk, whether it's after a show or in the middle of the night or in the morning when you get up. The number is 612-351-2080. That's the heartandmindconnection.org.
Say it one more time, and I'm being asked to shut down from the stratosphere.
All right. It's the Heart and Mind Connection. We're at www.theheartandmind, all spelled out, connection.org, or on Facebook at the Heart and Mind Connection. Our phone number, 612-351-2080. 2080. That's right, 2080. Call now. Operator stand by.
Thank you so much for an amazing interview. I'm so
Thank you
proud
for
of the
having
work
me
you're
on.
doing.
Thank you
Keep
for
it up.
talk about this on a. I promise if you call, I'll be funnier. I'll try and be funnier, for God's sake.
Please. You have no idea what I go through on a daily. Thank you, Chris Shaw.
Bye, Linda.
Bye, Chris. Love you.
Love you.
Everybody's talking at the comic spot. The comic spot.